On a day where Hbar's price is down, I felt relevant. Let's talk about some of the great things that are going on behind the scenes as Hbar and other people that they are partnering with are continuing to build on Hedera. Okay, so let's talk about what the tech is, and we'll get into some of the price action as well. Give you guys the Hbar news of the day and get you out of here within pretty much 5 minutes. All right, we'll keep this one short and sweet, right to the point. For those of you that are new to the channel, make sure you all hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Let's talk some crypto, okay? So what we're looking at right now are banks and governments, Google included, they're actively building on Hashgraph tech. So why will Hbar thrive in 2025? All right, so before we get down into it, I want to segue into the price action of the day. I know we're down 4.6%, but still trading at a 25 cents level for Hbar. We'll take it. We're still kind of in that weird little mode here as we wait the Fed interest decision with the interest rates, I should say, coming out a little bit later on in the day. But for all things considered, Hbar has been on an outstanding run the last 30 days and 365 days respectively. And when I do talk about it in that form or fashion, please remember, as we look back over the month and year, that does correspond to a time frame, not actually just the calendar days. Okay, so we'll talk about kind of what we have going on as well. Hbar down one spot in market cap, but on a day where Hedera is doing its thing, and it's pretty much every other crypto is doing the same as well. Okay, so it is a red day. There are a couple outliers in the top 100 that are still up on the day, but for the most part, it is a negative red day across the board. So personally, I'll attribute this, and this is not financial advice, just my thoughts. I think that as the interest rates stay the same, I think a lot of people are worried that Jerome Powell is going to say something in a retaliatory fashion in kind of more hawkish in a more hawkish manner when he does talk about the decision a little bit later on in the afternoon. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that this is just essentially a little bit of manipulation, maybe a hedge where we will see, like we did the last 2 days, some red in the market. And then once the minutes come about, that's kind of where you drop the price low enough, people will start buying. So easy way to get some entry here for the institutions and the big money movers, just kind of siphoning some of that liquidity in just a quick swing. All right, so that's just kind of what I think will happen, just from my experience trading on these minutes days where we do hear Jerome Powell speak. Okay, so whether or not you want to take advantage of it or not, that's up to you. I'll never tell you to buy or sell crypto, but that's just kind of what I see taking place today. All right, so back into the Hbar conversation, and before we get moving, I do want to share with you guys one of the exchanges I am affiliated with. This is BTCC, okay? 14 plus years in the industry. If you're looking for a new exchange to trade spot, trade leverage, this is where you can find a great sign-on promotion. If you use my link in the description, you will get a 10% bonus on your first-time deposit, up to $10,055 per user in extra bonuses, as well as 40% lower trading fees. So like I said, links are down below. You guys know what to do. If you are a leverage trader, you're familiar with it. And if you want to start trading, just make sure it's right for you, where you're located, and understand their terms and conditions, okay? So back into the news. We're going to be talking about why Hedera can thrive in 2025. Well, we all know kind of how they provide fast, low-cost transactions and near zero fees in seconds. Okay, this is something where there's a lot of use cases. CBDCs, we'll not talk about that too loud. NFTs, AI, and tokenized real estate. Okay. So the big money movers right now, Google, IBM, the Reserve Bank of Australia, are using or testing Hedera. A lot of people probably own Hbar and don't even know that Google and IBM are involved, okay? The adoption is growing quietly through infrastructure, not hype. Now, this kind of goes back to kind of what I've been talking about as we called Hbar around 4, 5, 6 cents. That's kind of why we're playing with house money. So those of you that have been watching, I thank you for showing up every day. We've been grinding it out. I know that the markets don't always give us great days, but over the course of time, if you're making the right decisions and the right moves in the market, it usually does kind of bode well for the more longer term players out there in the space. It may take time, but you know, for the most part, crypto has provided me with some of the most and highest performing assets of my lifetime. Okay, traditional and DeFi alike. All right, but the reason why we talk about Hbar so much is because that was in that sweet spot. Okay, they were about 35th in market cap when I first got involved, around there, and that's kind of that sweet spot where you find cryptos outside of the top 10, outside of the top 25. that have a lot of promise, a lot of opportunity and room to grow. Okay. And that's just how I viewed HBAR, especially with some of the highs they had back in 2021. When they were trading at 4 cents, it was just basically like that low-hanging fruit that I think a lot of people did gravitate towards. All right. But as we get back into this conversation, you're talking about blockchain. The traditional user just kind of associates that with Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, this is something where we look for governments, banks, and tech corporations, such as we talked about Google and IBM. They're turning to Hedera. Okay. It runs on a distinct system. This is where they use a directed acyclic graph, a DAG, if you will. Okay, so that's where it's a web-like structure, distinct from a blockchain's linear chain. All right, so parallel processing allows for more and more transactions per second with basically zero fees. Okay, and now Hbar DeFi has kind of taken some strides, but it's not necessarily up to snuff with when we compare it to the well-known entities such as Solana and those blockchains that have had a lot of great DeFi projects come about. Okay, but this is something where you look into how the decentralization of HBAR does make up a governance council of up to 39 global organizations. All right. And I'm going to kind of get through all of this background stuff because a lot of people watching are new to the tech. Okay. But this is where you look into the Reserve Bank of Australia and the Digital Finance CRC's project, Acacia. They are exploring digital currency interoperability on Hedera and the Hash sphere. Okay, this is something where you also know NVIDIA is involved with HBAR as well. Okay. Kraken, they also now support HBAR funding and trading. This is something where it's not just basically isolated to tokenization and AI. It's a broader shift where HBAR is becoming at the forefront of the discussion within large corporations and institutions adopting Hedera and the Hashgraph technology. Okay, so you're going to see this right here as we look into another kind of sidebar as the Hedera Foundation talking about Grayscale, the world's largest digital asset focused investment platform, adding HBAR to the Grayscale Smart Contract Fund. You can see kind of how this is made up now, allocating 5.8% of their weight. And every quarter they do rebalance and update the components based on their need and demand. Okay, so as you look more into this, you can kind of see how the larger names in finance and tech, they're kind of getting that backing full circle. And it's going to be kind of why we're getting into why HBAR is different, why we get attracted to it, and if this is going to be the backbone of the future for finance and tech companies alike. Okay, so this is a distributed ledger. It's using the Hashgraph, an alternative DLT that's unlike blockchain. It uses Hashgraph technology. Okay, computers, basically nodes, they just share via a gossip system, quickly spreading data like news. All right, so we talked about some of the pros of that system, right? Quick transactions, very, very small fees. It takes little to none emissions. Also, the governance and the throughput of up to 10,000 transactions per second. So that TPS, that's a lot more than a lot of other blockchains out there in the space. Okay. So this is kind of where you look into it and something about kind of the tech behind it. And a lot of people kind of associate HBAR, Hedera, Hashgraph. They're all kind of the same in some form or fashion. They get associated the same, I should say. But what they do is, and kind of for clarification, Hedera is the public network or platform that runs the tech called Hashgraph. All right. This is something where you look into how the super fast ledger is used for payments, data storage, or smart contracts. Hashgraph is the underlying technology that powers Hedera. All right. So this is something where you look for a difference in kind of how blockchains such as Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of operate. It's the engine that makes Hedera run. Okay. And then lastly, HBAR, that is the digital coin. Okay. That's what's used on the Hedera network. I use HBAR to pay for transactions on the network. It's essentially the gas, the fuel, and what makes Hedera run. Okay. So we talked a lot about kind of the big corporations and tech companies and banks that are using it right now. This is kind of where the major institutions that have adopted HBAR's tech, Google, IBM, NASA Research, and Deutsche Telekom. Okay, that's something where you look into how they use it for infrastructure. They're using it for data storage, also supply chain tracking systems, and then Google also runs that governing node that integrates into the Google Cloud services. Okay, so if you need conviction, that's kind of what you lend towards, right? Just say that a couple times over and over again. Google Cloud runs using Hedera Hashgraph. Okay, so there you go. That's kind of all you need to know. This isn't just a run-of-the-mill crypto project. It just bodes well for the long-term prospects. And I think as we get deeper into some of these use cases and real-world implementations, it's just extremely bullish, as you still find Hbar, as we talked about, just kind of one of my best value plays out there in the market. Now 16th, but I will say over the last year or so, as we look at it, they've moved up 24 spots. So this was a top 50 crypto. Now we're talking about basically a top 20 crypto, top 15 before this little correction. Okay. So it's going to be fun to kind of see what goes through and kind of how the power of Hbar continues to develop. Now, why interest in Hbar is growing in 2025? We talked about a lot of those real world applications. We talked a lot about kind of just scaling the efficiency, and also, but the biggest thing right now is not only their advanced tech, the enterprise adoption. Okay, that's what's going to drive things to another level. That's kind of what, in my opinion, we saw happen a little bit with Polygon Matic before they had some issues, but that's where you look for Google, IBM, NVIDIA, Lloyd's of London Banking Group. This is real world use and just major solid entities that are using Hbar's tech to boost credibility and viability within what they're trying to do. So very excited for kind of this crypto to get to the next level. I think right now, as we get into kind of a conclusion, kind of put a bow on it, I just think that where we're at from a RWA, a tokenization, an AI standpoint within crypto, even enterprise features in terms of the niches that we do talk about, they're very much at a very primitive state. All right, and Hbar is in a very much a pole position, in my opinion, to kind of take control of some of that market share when they want to evolve and develop those technologies. And like I said, those niches are kind of the ones that I personally target for my own holdings. Okay, so it's just kind of right there for the taking, to put it blunt. I think that this was a crypto at 4 cents. It was one of my most highest conviction plays that I've had in crypto in a long time. And right now, we're just going to enjoy the ride and continue to talk about it, and hoping for success, because that's the goal. The goal is for everybody to win. I want to see everybody do well. And so we're going to continue to cover the Hbar crypto as well as the news each and every single day, because quite frankly, you guys need to know it if you want to make the best decisions in the game. So that's what I got for you guys in this video. Before we sign off, make sure you all hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. And as always, if you aren't using BTCC to trade crypto, that link will be down below if you want to start using that exchange today. All right. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.